Hey guys, it's Classic. Welcome to this week's episode of Casual Talks, where I get on the pitch with your favorite people in the Rocket League community to find more about them. This week's episode is one half of SubParButInHD Cole. When did you start Rocket League? You were in SARP, right? Or am I mistaken?
No, you're completely right. I was one of the SARP BC crews when the game first came out. I was everyone was watching me like, oh my god, he's amazing, Cole's so good. And then of course, it took about a week for that to change and people to realize that I wasn't very good. But yeah, no, I was there at the very beginning. I had like, I think 10,000 posts on the SARP BC forum. I was the second highest poster behind Doomsy. Yeah, it was basically Doomsy and me that would just be on there all the time.
You said that, people quickly realized you weren't insane, but was your goal initially to go pro, or like was it instantly content creation?
So that's a tough one because at the start
if you wanted to be pro and you didn't make, I want you to be honest.
No, so yeah, so at the start it was me and Doomsy. We were so people know Stumpy and me are the pair now, right?
Yeah.
At the start it was Doomsy and me.
Okay.
And it was great at the start where we could just drive around and beat everybody really easily because nobody else had played the game before, so we were just stomping everyone. We could make jokes, it was great. As soon as things started to get a bit more serious, I think that's where our different wants sort of showed themselves a bit. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Different aspirations. So he was just desperate to be as good as he could be, the best player in the world. Whereas I just wanted to. I found out through streaming very quickly that I liked making people laugh. So when the game, before the game came out, actually, a bunch of the prominent members of the community, so Cronovi, Gibbs, Doomsy, Fisho, me, just a lot of people. I am a tree at the time. He was very relevant. We all got given codes, and we were told by Psyonix to go onto this sort of Twitch thing. I didn't even know what Twitch was. Genuinely didn't know what Twitch was.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't have a clue about this world until Rocket League came out. And then we'd basically take turns streaming.
Okay,
So
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Would stream for a bit, and then it would be like, right, I'm going to host I Am a Tree now, and then Tree would stream, and we'd all play in the same lobby. It was really nice, actually.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
At the time, though, my internet wasn't good enough for me to stream myself.
Okay.
So I used to just sort of join everybody else's stream and sort of crack jokes and stuff, which is really nice.
Still be involved in the community.
Yeah. And then it wasn't until the game came out, and then Doomsy was initially the streamer. And I'd play with him, and then we sort of did the same sort of system that Stumpy and I have, where one of us actually does the streaming, and the other one does the talking. And we split any earnings and take it from there.
We had Shogun on, and he, he had his own opinions on, how the level of caster affects, casting and whatnot. So I'm curious to know your own opinions on, do you think it's important for casters to, know firsthand how it works?
I would say that if they, yeah, I know what you mean. I'd say that if they want to get into the nitty gritty of Rocket League, then absolutely. But there are examples of casters really good casters who have pretty much never played the game. At the Gfinity Elite Series in Season 1, we all met a guy called Onset, and he's now done 3 seasons of the Gfinity Elite Series, and he is a fantastic play-by-play caster. Any game casted by Onset is going to be entertaining. He is brilliant. He's basically come into Rocket League and learned it over the course of a few seasons of the Gfinity Elite Series. And as long as he's with someone who's more knowledgeable about the mechanics, so the example I gave is if a player misses, it's great for a player to know, oh, he's missed that because he thought his teammate was going to hit it, and so his car was at a bad angle, or he used boost that he wouldn't have otherwise used. They're the little technical things that I think if both people haven't played and don't play, they'll both miss. Whereas if you just have one who can add that sort of, the classic color play-by-play dynamic.
Exactly. So you're a fan of this dynamic of like having someone who's just not just because ideally you have both casters are knowledgeable. But you feel like it's more important to at least have one of them being great at the actual job of casting and someone else who's great at the knowledge and kind of go off each other, right? Because obviously you want to be great at both, but it's not always possible,
I think that they can certainly be too rigid. I think the RLCS, they're made to be too rigid, where it's purely one color and purely one play-by-play. I think... You want to hear the casters chat and have a laugh, and I think often the RLCS is missing that a little bit. I want to hear a bit more chat, a bit more fun, really, than we see in that. So I agree in principle, but I think it can be softened up a lot. There are moments where play-by-play is incredibly important. You know, you look at the RLCS finals.
Yep.
Right, Shogun and Carpet casted, and no one wanted to hear Shogun and Carpet have a chat and have a laugh. They wanted to hear Shogun explain what the fuck was going on in that game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the time where you go, right, pure play-by-play. Let's be, everything is exciting, everything is amazing. But it's the sort of journey to get to that point. I think that's when the personality can come out a bit more, and you can go a little bit more chatty and hang out a bit more.
You said that the start of SubPar was with Doomsy. How did the transition go from like you and Doomsy to like you and Stumpy? Was there a break? Like how did all of that happen?
So it was the reveal of the RLCS, or the announcement of the very first season of RLCS.
Yes.
I think up to that point, there were tournaments with like a $50 prize pool, right? And the main thing tournaments did was bring people into the stream.
Yeah.
So it sort of wasn't that big a problem that I wasn't as good as Doomsy. As soon as the RLCS was announced and it was a $50,000 prize pool or whatever it was for season 1, suddenly that becomes the thing to go for.
Yeah, obviously.
You know, and I think at that point, Doomsy and I both knew like, we're gonna have to go our separate ways here, which is fine. I sort of enjoyed streaming, but it wasn't the sort of I wasn't doing it for it to be my job at that point.
Yeah.
It was something I'd do when I fancied it, when I had the energy, and that meant at that point I was. It was a hobby that I really enjoyed, and had to be in the mood for.
Okay.
And because I was streaming so little, like literally once a week.
Yeah.
There was one day about 3 months, or maybe 4 or 5 months after Doomsy had left, where I just thought, right, do you know what? I'm going to check what my sub count is, because we did a partner channel, and I knew that my sub count, rightly so, would have been going down. So I'd actually stopped checking it, because I thought, right, if I check it, it's just going to stop me streaming even more, because when something's going down, even if you know it isn't, deserves to be, it's demoralizing, right?
Yeah, of course, of course.
So I checked my sub count, and I expected it to be about, I don't know, 20 left or something like that. And I checked it, and it was on 77 still. And literally that moment, it had moved. It had gone down, but certainly not to the crazy extent that it truly deserved. Yeah. Okay. So at that moment, I was like, right, there's a community here of people that are sticking by me more than I deserve right now. I owe them content. I owe them stuff. I owe them the daily streams that they want, they crave. You know?
So that motivated you to like, hey, people like this. I have this duty of.
It was a duty. Yeah. It felt like it at that point. The fact that people were still, paying their money, paying $5 a month. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So Stumpy Goblin. Yep. He was initially a viewer. He'd started watching when Doomsy and I were streaming together. He was always in the chat. Oh, he was bloody annoying. So this is back when there was a 15-second Steam delay, right? Yeah. So whenever I'd make a joke, I'd be chatting with Doomsy, and I'd make a joke. I'd look over to the left of the chat, and this bloody Stumpy Goblin guy would have made a better joke. And it's like, Stumpy Goblin, can you stop being funnier than me, please, on my own screen?
Oh, that's hilarious. I didn't know that.
And then eventually I chatted with him. It turned out that he lived right near me. Turned out that we both lived in Cambridge at the time, and he convinced me to go for a night out and a drink with him. Eventually, I relented, because at that time, we've jumped back in time here. This is back when I started with Doomsy, so this was 2015 still. And the thought of actually meeting someone from Twitch was alien to me. I'm not sure I'd even Doomsy at this point. I sent Stumpy a message like, mate, we're very good at streaming together. Do you want to just officially be my streaming partner, 50-50? And that was that.
Why did you feel like you had to do this together?
At the time, there were 2 reasons. One, I knew having a streaming partner would keep me motivated.
Okay.
But 2, it's to do with that. So we were discussing before the stream started about how when you're sort of doing a solo stream, there's that moment where you can just tell the magic of that stream has dried up, and it's like, okay, better call it there, and then we'll get back to it tomorrow. I sort of crave that magic, that spark, and I feel that when Stumpy and I are streaming together, we sort of have that spark. So yeah, we sort of had that spark together, and I thought that was just something worth cherishing and worth growing, I think. So
you've been mostly going about Twitch, but you also have a YouTube channel, which is not as active as it used to be, if I'm not mistaken. But you used to also do that. Why more to focus on Twitch rather than that? Because you have vids with like millions of views, like literally. Like, what made you focus more on Twitch rather than YouTube?
Twitch is it's tough, because when a YouTube video is finished, I get probably more pleasure out of that video than I do. I get more satisfaction from a brilliant YouTube video, in my opinion, a brilliant YouTube video we've made, you know, something that's my absolute best, than a brilliant stream of mine.
Okay.
But
that's
the problem is that, yeah, but the problem is that with YouTube, it takes so many hours to get to that point. You know, for a tutorial, a polished, scripted tutorial, you have to script it, you have to make sure everything's correct, you got to collab with people, you got to do all the editing, you got to do the VFX, do the posts, get the clips. Now, that takes bloody ages. Yeah. And then after all that, you can edit them all together.
Yeah.
Whereas Twitch, you do it and it's done, and that's sort of, you know, it sounds cynical, but it's my job now, so that's money in the bank essentially.
Of course, of course.
So with YouTube, if you put that much time in a video and then it doesn't do as well as you feel it deserves, it can be incredibly demoralizing. What
would be like your solution to try to fix that quote-unquote problem of like getting new users in? Because I have my opinion, but I want to know yours. I'll share mine right after. But
okay. Well, to me, the more people that play the game, the better. The more people that fall in love with the game, the better. That can play with their mates, that can add this to their rotation. So I would love to see the game go free to play.
Oh, we have the same thing. Yes.
Oh, mate, we're agreeing way too much.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah, and I'd love it. It would be so exciting because anyone could then, and I'm saying this as a Rocket League lover and as a content creator and a streamer and a YouTuber and all those things, because the more new people coming in, the more they're going to stick around.
Of course.
You know, and then the crates and stuff and all that they seem less, in my opinion, they seem less cynical when the game's free to play because they're
Agreed. Do you need to make cash somehow?
Yeah, of course. So there's more forgiveness towards Psionics for the sort of the darker practices which they've been tempted by.
In terms of content creation, both regarding YouTube or Twitch, do you have like a specific process that you usually go for, or do you just like log in, press start stream, and like just go off the top all the time?
With YouTube, with scripted stuff, it all comes down to that initial script writing session. I always use pen and paper when I start my scripts.
Yeah.
It's the top tip. I don't know if you do a lot of writing stuff out. If you do, I always advise. So my job till I left it to do streaming was a technical author. So I always suggest for any writers, any aspiring writers out there listening to this, or who are subscribed to Classic's channel, always suggest writing with a pen and paper to start off with. And that's because when you're writing with a pen and paper, if you think of a sentence, you then write it down. And while you're writing it down slowly with a pen and paper, your brain is then thinking about the next sentence naturally. Yep. So then by the time you finish writing your first sentence, you've then already thought of your second sentence. So it's a nice, smooth, there's a flow to it.
It's highly scripted, right? It's that's something we don't, everyone has a different process, right? So for you, it's like almost everything is in that script. Like,
yes,
that's where the magic comes from. It's like, is the script like good enough for me?
The script should be, in my opinion, a YouTube video script should be able to stand on its own as a piece of entertaining writing.
Okay.
The fact that you can then sort of add even more to it with your voiceover is bonus.
Since your background is in writing and all that jazz, why not go towards article writing or those kind of content rather than something super conversational like streaming? Especially if you're an introvert, right? So yeah, no, I have done sort of article writing. I've done a couple of pieces for Jinx.tv. Yeah, I've saw recently, right? Ah, yeah. One was a preview of the RLCS, sort of rating all the teams like a power ranking, and the other was the top 5 goals. And I'm still in contact with my contact through there, so I need to message him actually and see if I can get some more work like that. I'd say that I guess writing is something that I can't switch it on as easily as I would like. You know, I can have off days writing. Using a pen and paper does help if I am struggling, but there are some days where words just don't come, you know? The answer to your question is that on top of all that, I am also a bit of a camera whore, and I do love the limelight. I truly do. It's lovely to be the center of attention. It's lovely to be sort of the figurehead of a community, as I'm sure you know. Yeah. It's nice to be listened to, I think. I think with writing it can be quite lonely because you're writing it out and you're still hours and days and weeks, maybe months away from anyone ever reading what you've just written. You know, there's no immediate sort of reward. Absolutely not. Whereas with streaming and with any sort of being in front of the camera, you say it
and you know that people have heard it. If I say something and I think, oh, I've made a good joke there, or I've made a good point there, in my mind, I know that that's immediately seen by however many people are watching the streams, you know?
Yeah, and you'll often be met with an immediate response of like lols and stuff like that.
Or face palms, but yeah, something.
Yeah, or ha-has, then you're gonna feel bad about your joke. But still, you have like immediate feedback.
That's it.
Which is what drives you rather.
Yeah,
so,
it does. I'm not especially when I had a full-time job. I'm not particularly money oriented.
No,
so when I stream, it's not to sort of get as much money as I can. Obviously, that's changed a little bit now. It's my job.
I mean,
now
obviously, you need to pay bills.
Like, yeah, that's it. Obviously. So I do have to think about the business side of things a bit more now. But what drives me is for people to say, "Oh, Cole's good at that," or "He's made a good point here." Do you know what I mean? I love praise. I'm a bit of a praise whore, really.